Hi friend, Jean here with a quick invitation before we jump into today's episode. If you've been craving more ease, joy, and confidence on your homeschooling journey, I'd love to invite you to join the Inspired at Home community. It's my warm and welcoming membership community where homeschooling parents from all over the world find support, inspiration, and practical tools. Inside, you'll find masterclasses, printable resources, and a vibrant community of wholehearted parents just like you. We gather 3 times a month online for coaching, reflection, and planning so you can feel more empowered to bring creative, holistic lessons to your children. Plus, we have a private online group for ongoing conversations. From now through May 26th, you can join for just $7 for your first month. This is a great time to join with the summer reset and plan it out coming up over the next few months. Say goodbye to overwhelm and hello to inspired homeschooling. Learn more and join us at artofhomeschooling.com/inspired. And if you're already a member of Inspired at Home, I can't wait to see you on the next coaching call. Now let's get into the episode. You're listening to the Art of Homeschooling podcast, where we help parents cultivate creativity and connection at home. I'm your host, Jean Miller, and here on this podcast, you'll find stories and inspiration to bring you the confidence you need to make homeschooling work for your family. Let's begin. As the homeschool year winds down, a lot of parents immediately jump into one of two things: panicking about what didn't get finished, or planning next year before they've even processed this one. Maybe you're even bouncing back and forth between these two. And honestly, I get it. There's this feeling of, let me hurry up and fix the things that didn't go well. Let me choose new curriculum. Let me figure out next year so I can stop feeling so uncertain. This time of year can feel surprisingly emotional. Perhaps you're tired, the rhythm has shifted, the weather is changing, there are unfinished lessons staring at you. And suddenly it feels like there's not enough time left to do everything you had hoped to do. There's a phrase we hear all the time this time of year: finish strong. And usually what we think that means, what we interpret that to mean is hurry up, push harder, check more boxes, cram in unfinished things before summer arrives. But here's a little game of what if for you. What if finishing strong doesn't mean speeding up or pushing through? What if finishing strong actually means slowing down long enough to see the full picture? Many of us start the homeschool year with energy and intention. But by spring, we're tired, we're doubting ourselves, we're focused on what's incomplete. And when that happens, it becomes very easy to miss everything that actually did happen this year. The growth, the connection, the learning, the resilience, the small daily moments that mattered. So maybe finishing strong is not about doing more before the year ends. Maybe it's just about noticing. So before you wrap up your homeschool year, before you rush into planning next year, before you decide whether this year was a success or a failure, there's one thing I hope you won't skip. Because most homeschoolers do skip the most powerful step of all: reflection. Actually pausing long enough to ask, what happened here this year? What did we learn? What worked? What mattered? Because if you skip reflection, you often carry the same sense of overwhelm, same patterns, and same unrealistic expectations straight into the next season. And that's what I want to talk about. today. Let's start here. Reflection is what turns experience into wisdom. One of the most valuable things you can do at the end of the homeschool year is to reflect back. Not evaluate yourself harshly or make a giant list of everything that went wrong. We often do this in our heads. Not compare yourself or your homeschool to someone else's highlight reel, but truly pause and reflect. Because reflection is what turns experience into wisdom. You can homeschool for years and still feel uncertain if you never stop long enough to notice what you are learning along the way, as well as the progress your children are making. Experience alone does not automatically create confidence. Reflection does. When you pause and look back, you begin to notice things like what worked well, what rhythms supported your family, what brought more connection into your days, what consistently created friction, or what mattered more than you expected, what mattered less. And often the most meaningful parts of the year are not necessarily the things you carefully planned. They're the moments you almost overlooked. But when you reflect back, you can notice them. The read-alouds on the couch, the nature walks, the conversations over lunch, the stories that stayed with your children and they tell back to you, the breakthroughs that came slowly and quietly over time. Reflection helps you see the growth that's easy to miss while you're simply trying to get through each day. Now, the truth is that most homeschoolers only reflect on what went wrong. It's the way our brains are wired. I think that many homeschooling parents unintentionally approach reflection as critique. We immediately focus on what didn't get finished, what we should have done differently, where we fell short, what feels messy. And if that's the only lens we use, homeschooling will feel discouraging because there will always be unfinished things. There will always be hard days. There will always be moments when you question yourself. But what if reflection could also help you notice what became easier this year, how your children have grown, how you have grown, what strengths are emerging in your homeschool or for each child? Especially in relationship-centered homeschooling, holistic homeschooling as I like to call it, so much of the growth is subtle. You cannot measure it with a checklist. Sometimes the growth looks like more confidence, more curiosity, more resilience, more creativity, and more connection. And those things deeply matter. Sometimes the most important learning happening in your homeschool is invisible at first glance. Even just looking at all the learning and projects that did happen this past year, rather than the ones that didn't, can be a reason to celebrate your year. And that's where we start with the Summer Reset, a masterclass inside the Inspired at Home community. We're getting ready for our 2026 Summer Reset. More on that in a few minutes. But you can find links to that in the show notes if you want to check it out. The show notes are at artofhomeschooling.com/episode 258. But first I want to focus on how reflection creates intention. Without reflection, it's very easy to move into next year reactively. You panic by new curriculum, you overload everything, you try to fix all the weaknesses at once. I really do get it. I had this approach for years thinking, if I can just get everything figured out now, next year will be better. But reflection helps you move into the next season with intention instead of this sense of urgency. You start asking different questions. Instead of what should we buy for next year, you begin asking, what kind of homeschool life are we actually trying to create here? Instead of, how do I do more? How do I fit more in? You ask, what matters most? That shift changes everything because awareness creates intention and reflection turns experience into that sense of wisdom and confidence so that you can build your homeschool on a foundation of intention. Now, here's a gentle invitation for you to the summer reset. This is actually one of the reasons I created the summer reset. First, I created it for myself, and now I lead homeschooling parents through it who are inside the Inspired at Home community for heart-centered homeschoolers. It's not a productivity challenge. It's not pressure to get ahead. It's not more work for already overwhelmed homeschool parents. It's a reflection container. And this is one of the favorite times of year for those members inside Inspired at Home. Just a gentle space to process your homeschool year. Notice what's working, release what isn't, and reconnect with your own clarity and creativity before the next season begins. We go through 4 steps every May to gather all the artifacts of learning that happened this year, celebrate the year that has passed, and make a plan for rejuvenating our energy before creating a plan for the summer and next year's homeschooling. Because sometimes what we need most is not a brand new plan, but sometimes we simply need space to hear ourselves think again. Space to zoom out, notice, and reconnect with what really matters. So before you rush into next year, before you buy new curriculum, before you decide this homeschool year was successful or not, I invite you to pause and reflect. And consider that maybe finishing strong is not about squeezing in one more math lesson or racing to the last page of that curriculum you purchased. Maybe finishing strong means slowing down, zooming out, honoring how far you've all come, and carrying forward the wisdom instead of just the exhaustion. When you take time to notice what actually happened to this year, you begin to see your family differently, your homeschool differently, and you begin to see yourself differently too. There's wisdom waiting for you in that pause. And it may be the most important thing you do before summer begins. If this kind of reflection and support sounds helpful right now, I'd love to invite you into the summer reset inside the Inspired at Home community. We'll spend a few days together the last week of May, reflecting on the homeschool year, reconnecting with what matters most, and gently preparing for summer and the next season of homeschooling with more clarity, calm, and confidence. I offer you a pre-recorded video each morning on one specific step to take, and in the afternoons we gather live on Zoom as a group to share about how we are going through that step. You can learn more at artofhomeschooling.com/inspired-at-home. And if you're listening to this episode at a different time of year, just know that when you join Inspired at Home, you get a full library of masterclasses, including the summer reset, that you can work through on your own time at your own pace. Because reflection isn't just an end-of-the-year practice, it's one of the ways we grow into the homeschool parents we want to be. Until next time, keep bringing your unique sparkle to your homeschool. That's all for today, my friend. But here's what I want you to remember. Rather than perfection, let's focus on connection. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Art of Homeschooling podcast.